Hey guys, thanks so much for joining today. Sorry for the slight delay. We had some small technical issues here, but I hope that is resolved now. So good to have every one of you guys here today in that Google Hangout and that webinar actually on the Startup with UpGrad program. I hope that webinar actually gives you some more clarity on the program and actually helps you to see whether this is the right program for you or not. So I'm glad to be here and wanted to take this opportunity to start this session with a small overview of how we actually came up with this program before we actually said, let us start this entrepreneurship program. So for this, let me just share the screen with you. So when we actually started UpGrad, I think now 12 months back, right? One of the challenges that we were asking ourselves was actually, can entrepreneurship be taught, right? Many individuals told us, okay, entrepreneurship is something that has to be in your blood. Entrepreneurship is something that cannot be taught, right? But we still felt that there must be something, right? There must be some areas that every entrepreneur is facing, some challenges that any entrepreneur will go through his own entrepreneurial journey, right? And we said, yeah, while entrepreneurship might not be able to teach entrepreneurship, right? We believe that there are some concepts and some areas where every individual, right? Everyone who is about to start his entrepreneurial journey, everyone who has just started his entrepreneurial journey, everyone who has started his entrepreneurial journey had seen some setbacks and wants to go over it again, right? All of these individuals should get some more clarity in these concepts. So what we did at UpGrad is we reached out to some of the top 30 entrepreneurs of the country. The founders of Make My Trip, the founders of Zomato, the founders of Oyo Rooms, Ola Cabs, Sigma, and many, many other companies. And we asked them very simply, what is it that you would have loved to know before you started your venture, right? And all of them got back to us with many, many areas where they were facing significant challenges throughout their entrepreneurial journey. Areas like founders agreements. How do I actually go about a founders agreement with my co-founders? How do I register my company? How do I build my first marketing plan? How do I go about the first branding in my company? How do I actually create the first team for my company? How do I validate the many, many ideas in my head? And we took this and created a rough syllabus outline for the program that we have developed. What we did then is we reached out to 150 budding and aspiring entrepreneurs, individuals who are about to start their entrepreneurial journey, and all individuals who have just started their entrepreneurial journey. They're still in the early stage of their startup. And we asked them, okay, if you had to start your venture full-fledgedly tomorrow, right? What are the areas that you are most afraid of? And again, we got many, many insights on, yeah, I don't know how whether my idea actually makes sense. I don't know whether the monetization model that I have thought about for my idea actually is the right one. I don't know whether how to hire my co-founders. I don't know how to actually create the first digital marketing campaign for my company. I don't know how to actually approach an investor and what to actually include in a pitch. And we took these inputs from both the most successful founders in the countries, as well as the budding and aspiring founders and entrepreneurs out there. And we created a 15-week syllabus along the journey of an entrepreneur. And let me now take the opportunity to guide you through the syllabus so that you get some more clarity of what you will be going through in the UpGrad program, right? And if you have any questions in the meantime, right, please use the chat function on the right? Drop your questions to me, and I will, in the second half of this webinar, go through all of your questions and hopefully answer any doubts that you might have. But now let me talk a little bit about the syllabus. As I mentioned, we created this with some of the top entrepreneurial minds in the country, and the way it turned out is actually a 15-week program that is divided into 3 main areas. The first area about Startup with UpGrad is all about idea validation. All of you guys might have many ideas in your heads, right? Many ideas that you find interesting, many ideas that you think that there's a significant need in the market. But many of you might have some doubts. Are these ideas actually feasible? Are these ideas actually big enough? And is there enough opportunity in the market to pursue this idea? And this is what the first weeks of the program is all about. How do I validate my idea? How do I identify the actual gap in the market? How do I find the right business model for my idea? How do I actually differentiate this business model against my competition? How do I use design thinking to further shape my idea? So this is what the first 5 weeks is about. You will learn the key concepts when it comes to idea validation, making sure that the market is sized in a proper manner, making sure that you have the right business model and the right differentiation for your business. The next 5 weeks of the program is then all about scaling up this idea. So once you have knocked down the idea that you want to pursue, it's actually all about how do I build my first product? How do I build my first marketing plan? How do I create a strong brand in the market? How do I go about digital marketing, right? How do I set up my SEO strategy? How do I set up my SEM strategy? How do I actually use display campaigns to get more leads into my company and to get them know about my company? It's all about how do I hire the right set of individuals into my company? And what kind of skill set do I actually need to pursue the goals that I have for my company? So the second part of the program, the next 5 weeks, is all about how do I scale up this very idea that I have in my head. And then the last part of the program, and I think that is something which is very substantial and very important for any entrepreneur, is about legal and fundraising, right? What we heard from many successful entrepreneurs that they made significant mistakes in these areas. They did not register their company properly. They did not protect the IP in a manner that it should have been protected in. They did not understand the basics of finance, right, that are really crucial for any entrepreneur. But more than that, the last 5 weeks of the program will actually also allow you to learn how do I actually approach investors? What are the wide channels for funding for my company? At which stage of my company? What are the key elements that I should include in my pitch when I go out to investors? How do I actually value a company? And how does a venture capital fund or an angel investor actually value my company? So that you actually are, after this, in a position to have any kind of discussion with venture capitalists, with angel investors, with lawyers, to actually identify the core needs of your business and make sure that you are set both from a financial perspective as well as from a legal perspective. So this is, I think, what you will be going through from a syllabus perspective in this 15-week program. But now you may ask yourself, actually, yeah, that's fine, but how do I learn this? And what is the learning? What will the learning be looking like, right? And now what we did for this program, right? And let me talk a little bit about the people that you will be learning from, right? The pedagogy that we are following at UpGrad is a very simple one, right? It's all about learning something. Then it is about experience this learning in a real life scenario. And the last step is actually of the application of this specific learning. So you will learn concepts in all of these 15 areas that I was talking about, right? Idea validation, scaling up, finance. You will learn the key concepts. After that, you will apply these concepts in case studies that we have developed with the top 30 entrepreneurs in the country. And the last and most important step of this program is really about the application of this knowledge. After learning it and after experiencing it, apply it in your own venture. Get into a progression, right, wherein you can continuously further develop your idea, your business throughout these 15 weeks. Now, who are the people that you will be learning the concepts from? The key concepts in all of these 15 areas are actually be taught by the leading individuals from the industry as well as from academia, right? So we have partners from Excel partners, right? Tarun Dafta from Matrix Partners India. We have the General Counsel of Unilisa Ventures. We have leading venture capitalists, leading product managers, leading Chief Marketing Officer from Pepperfry, for example, Kashyap, who's teaching you about the key concepts in branding. We have the CEO of Walt Disney India, Sid Roy Kapoor, who is teaching you how to create valuable brands in India, in the Indian market. We have Jayanta Chatterjee, a professor from IIT Kanpur, to teach you about product design. We have Atul Singh, professor from UC Berkeley, talking about social entrepreneurship. And these leaders from academia as well as industry are guiding you through the key concepts. And after you have understood and learned these concepts, right, you will actually be applying these in real-life case studies that we have developed with some of the top 30 entrepreneurs in India who are sharing in this program their success. We have Deep Kalra from MakeMyTrip, Pankaj Chadha from Zomato, Bipin from MobiKwik, we have Bhavish Agarwal from Ola Cabs, and many, many individuals who are actually teaching these specific case studies that will put you into the shoes of these entrepreneurs to actually understand what it means to hire the right set of co-founders, what it means to build, to size the market, what it means to pivot your business, and many other areas. Now, let me talk a little bit about the key areas and the key cornerstones of this specific program, right? How the entire experience will look like. So if you look into one typical week in the Startup with UpGrad program, I think it is divided into 3 main buckets that you find at the bottom of this pyramid. One part is the anytime learning aspects, right? Where in 2 to 3 hours per week, you will actually go through content at your own pace, right? Besides your job, you will go through lectures, you will go through case studies, you will go through assessment assignment that will help you get clarity in the many concepts that will matter in your entrepreneurial journey. The second part is all about group assignments, right? And submissions. That will again take approximately two hours of your week. And within this, you will be working with fellow entrepreneurs of India across the globe, right? On one of the most challenging areas in your entrepreneurial journey. You will work with them on the case studies, right, that this program provides you with to deepen the knowledge that you have gained in the anytime learning phase of this program. And the last aspect of that bottom of the pyramid is, I think, live lectures, which is an area where you can actually raise the doubts that you might have throughout the weeks, where you can interact with the faculty of the week in a live scenario, where you can actually ask the questions that you might have on certain concepts. And this key learning, right, which is spread across the anytime learning, the group assignments, and the live lectures, is actually supplemented by industry hangouts and mentoring sessions, right? These industry hangouts and mentoring sessions allow you to interact with some of the top, I think, the top leaders in the industry, product managers from housing, from Zomato, chief marketing officer from some of the leading companies like Pepperfry, like MakeMyTrip, to actually just bounce off your ideas, share your ideas with them, and get some feedback on whatever you have been going through in your entrepreneurial journey. Ask them questions and get some hacks on some of the key areas, because this will be helping you to actually get subjective feedback on some of the areas and some of the challenges that you will be facing. And one of the most important aspects about this program on entrepreneurship is the networking aspect, right? So what we do is we facilitate networking through the online platform, right? Where you can actually work together with your fellow entrepreneurs on some of the key challenges that you will be facing. And also facilitating selective offline events in some of the key metros where you can actually come together, meet each other, and see how you can help each other. Because learning is one thing, but the most important part of any education experience and of any product is actually the network that you will be creating throughout this program, making sure that you have networks that last a lifetime. And now, after this 15-week program, right, now you've gone through all of these 15 modules that I've been talking about, right, you will have a strong clarity on what you have to work on in your own startup. Right? Throughout these 15 weeks, you'll be filling a so-called business plan tracker. This business plan tracker will actually force you to apply the knowledge that you have gained through these 15 weeks in your own venture, right? So after you've learned, for example, on the digital marketing strategies of Zomato or Ola Cabs, right, you are actually asked to apply this in your own venture. And we ask you, okay, if this is what you have seen from Bhavish Agarwal, right? How would you have done it in your own venture? And what we do, we will give you feedback on this specific answers that you have submitted, right? So we will give you feedback if you are lacking clarity in some of the top areas of your entrepreneurial journey. If in any of these modules, if we see that something is lacking, we are giving you feedback on all of these answers that you have submitted for your own venture, so that after 15 weeks, you have clarity for your own startup across all these different 15 modules. That will lead as the key input for a pitch day, right? And what we do is, after you have completed the program, right, you might still think, okay, so how do I actually now go ahead? How do I actually now pursue with my startup? So what is happening after the program, we will give you 2-3 months to actually work on your product, work on your service, work on the company that you have founded. And after that, you will get the chance to pitch your idea in front of a jury of leading investors, leading angel investors, seed venture capital funds, and entrepreneurs, individuals who will give you feedback on the idea that you are working on and on the business that you are working on, potentially leading to funding. So this is something that we are facilitating 2 to 3 months after the program, so that you get feedback from the top individuals in the country who will be actually judging your idea, and the individuals who will be the ones who will in the long term decide whether your company is worth investments or not. So now that I've gone through some of the key aspects of the program, I want to show you the platform and how it actually looks like, so that you get a better understanding of what you will be actually seeing in this program, right? Now, this should give you a bright idea, a high-level idea about how the platform looks like. So when you log into the UpGrad platform, right, anytime, anywhere, you can actually see the different modules that you are going through, right, and where you stand in these different modules, right? Now, if we look into, for example, one specific module 1, right, the first module is all about identifying the need gap, right? Now, if we look into 1.1, which is identifying the idea, right? Because what this is 1.1 is all about is there are many areas, many need gaps in the market. Many individuals are facing significant pain points, right? But as an entrepreneur, you need to actually identify these gaps in the market. And after identifying these gaps in the market, you have to be able to size the market opportunity, to then execute on any great business idea that you might have. So what you will be doing is, when you are going through that module 1.1, identifying the idea, you will read some texts, right? And after that, you will go through a video. And let me just briefly play that video to give you the idea what this is about.
Let us look at the example of Savan. I was just thinking about why I downloaded the music app Savan. You remember this feeling whenever you walk out of a movie and listen to a good song, you want to listen to it immediately. And I remember trying to download songs, and there was no platform or application where I could immediately find that song. And Savan had created the mechanism to effectively find or search for a song based on the actor's name, the movie's name, and the song's name. And I think that was a great value proposition. And I wonder if the founders of Savan identified this market gap before launching this particular application, or was it just a coincidence?
The reason that Savan started, the genesis of Savan, is really the fact that we as co-founders are music lovers and music fanatics. You have to, be in love with the thing that is your business. Otherwise, it's never going to do well, even years down the road. And we happen to, as co-founders, grow up as North American, South Asians. So we grew up listening to Indian music in the living room, and Led Zeppelin and Miles Davis and these things in our bedrooms. And what had happened was, as we sort of grew up and we saw music going digital, there was no digital India. There was no digital South Asian content. And here you have 1 billion plus people in the country that are music fanatics and music lovers, and it's in the bone. And you have some of the most brilliant indigenous content that's being made, and it was all analog. So the genesis, the kernel of Savan was, hey, let's take it all digital.
So that was interesting. The founder of Savan was a music lover and grew up listening to Indian music. And at the same time, he observed that a lot of content, especially music in the Western countries, was going digital. But then, coming back to India, where there are 1 billion people, all of them music fanatics, the content was still mostly analog. And he decided to act upon this pain point and took South Asian music content digital on his platform to fill this particular gap in the market. The pain point we face in our daily lives is mostly related to pain points faced by consumers, which might be helpful as we saw in probably building a B2C business. But there are also very large and billion-dollar B2B businesses. How does one use their personal pain points to build a strong B2B business is something that will be important to understand. So let's hear from Fanindra Sama of Redbus and Girish of Freshdesk to get a good sense of this.
In Diwali of 2005, when I went to book a ticket, he made a few phone calls to the bus operators and told me that there are no seats. And just when I was leaving his office, he told me that maybe another agent could get me a seat. And that really intrigued me. I was thinking, if this guy is an agent for bus tickets, he should know whether or not there's any seat which is going vacant from Bangalore to Hyderabad that evening. How is that that he's asking me to go to another travel agent? After going to so many travel agents, I ended up being in Bangalore without getting a seat. But the next day when I woke up, I was feeling guilty. Because maybe if I had gone to a 10th travel agent, and maybe the 10th travel agent called 30th bus operator, and maybe the 30th operator had a seat which went vacant from Bangalore to Hyderabad that evening, it was lost to that bus operator because there was a customer in some corner of the city, but he just didn't know about that customer. And it was lost to the 4 or 5 travel agents that I went to because they had a customer in front of them selling him a ticket. They could have made some money, but just didn't know which of these 30 operators to call. And it was a big loss to a consumer like me because I desperately wanted to be home for the festive season, but just couldn't be there. So I realized that all the 3 of us are losing because information of bus seats is not seamlessly available.
As you probably know, Freshdesk is an online customer support software company. So in 2009, I was moving back from the US to India, and so happened that I was shipping all my stuff back to Chennai, and 2 months later, my stuff arrived. My TV was broken. Now, I didn't actually worry about it too much because I had purchased insurance.
So I think that actually should give you a good idea about how the video content flows, right? So you will always see experiences from founders, right? And these experiences from founders are actually underlying and supplementing the concepts that you will be learning. This module is all about identifying the idea in the market, right? It will equip you with the concepts to actually identify the idea in the market. And these founders then have shared their views on how they actually identified the gap in the market, right? Which should help you to actually deepen the knowledge that you have gained and the concepts that you actually have applied, right? So after then going through a concept, right, we will always ask you questions on your own business, right? For example, what industry does your idea cater to? And then you have to reply on that. Write down your idea in the most concise and effective way. What experience or observation led you to this idea? Did you face the experience personally? Because these questions will actually critically force you to think deeply about the business that you are trying to create and actually force you to make sure that whatever kind of idea you have in your business actually creates significant value. What we will do then is, as I mentioned earlier, we will give you feedback on all these submissions that you have given to us. Let me now, after showing you some content, right, where you saw some founders' faces, let me show you some content, right, that you will be actually going through in the digital marketing module, right? Because many individuals, I think all of you might have actually issues with how do I use digital marketing to run my business in the most efficient manner, right? So we created this module, right, with the former head of marketing of Bluestone, Anshul, who actually helps you to identify how to set up your account structure in Google, how to go about display marketing, how to go about SEO marketing, how to go about SEM marketing, how to go about content marketing, social media marketing. So let us look into one of these sessions, right? And some of the context that you will actually go through.
We heard from Anshul about search engine optimization, and the most important thing about SEO is that it is free. Its paid companion is SEM, search engine marketing, and it is very important to use both SEO and SEM effectively combined together. When it comes to search engine marketing, it is also important to keep the ROI in mind because a large part of your marketing spends could be associated with SEM. So I think it's going to be important for us to go back and listen to Anshul about what are the various steps involved in SEM and how it can effectively be managed.
Now that we've talked about SEO, let's talk about search engine marketing. and which is something which falls under the paid media, which we had discussed earlier. Now, search engine marketing is the most commonly used form of advertising, and it has been there for 20 years now, and that's something which you would want to go after right away. Let's deep dive into how do you start running the campaigns, and it's a fairly detailed process. Let's start with it one by one. The first step is, what are the different types of account structure and why is account structure important? So account structure is nothing but basically your mental map of how users interact with your category and how do they search your category. So one of the options could be you directly mimic your navigation on the website. For example, if you have multiple categories like shoes, shirts, tops, trousers, you might want to create campaigns basis shoes, shirts, tops, trousers. If these are your business drivers, these are your business units, you would want to structure your account in a manner so that you can allocate budget to each of these business units and measure performance accordingly. That could be one way of structuring the account. The other way of structuring your account could be, say for example, combining keywords basis performance. So keyword is basically a word which you would put in the Google AdWords tool, and once somebody searches something in the search bar, Google will try and match that search query to your keywords. That for which keyword should I trigger an ad? For example, you have a campaign for high performing keywords, for low performing keywords, for high scale keywords, high traffic keywords. So the idea of account structure is to give you the flexibility to allocate budgets and understand the performance. So there is no silver bullet or there is no rule for creating a structure, but the structure should be such that you should be able to allocate budget effectively. You should be able to read the performance of your campaigns effectively. So, and it does not make sense to change your structure again and again, because once the structure is set up, your keywords will have a...
So I think that should have given you an idea about how you can actually learn from some of the top leading industry experts, right, who are teaching you certain concepts. So here it is all about setting up your account structure, because one of the first steps is when you're actually starting to use Google, you have to set up your account in a manner that makes sense for your business, right? And Anshul, later in this session, will lead you through the step-by-step approach on how to actually set up your account in Google AdWords to make the most out of this medium, right? But still, after viewing such a session, right, and learning from entrepreneurs, learning from industry experts, you may still have many questions in your head, right? You may still have many questions on this specific topic, right? And you may not have a clue of how do I actually use it in my startup, right? So what we have developed here is a way to actually solve all your doubts that you might have, right? And what you see on the platform is this blue dot, right? And that is on any page that you see in the program, right? This leads you to the discussion forum in UpGrad, right? And if you open this now, right? Now, you will be led to the discussion forum, right? And in that discussion forum, you can type any questions that you might have, right? For example, now I have an e-commerce business. Ask this question, right? And what is happening then is we give your fellow students the chance to answer your questions, right? Because what we feel is that peer learning is one of the most important parts of any educational experience, right? So fellow students have actually the chance to answer your question. For example, this question of Rommel, right? He had a question on his own venture, genclub.in, which is actually India's first service for individuals who want to purchase male fashion online, right? A very, I think, very creative and very innovative idea that Rommel is having. And Rommel actually asked a question on, he was a bit confused about SEO and how to actually set it up. So then other students are answering his questions, right? Avani has answered a question, Kushal has given an answer, right? And what we do then is we go through all the questions and all the answers that actually any individual might have. And then if we feel that the answer is up to the mark, right, we verify this answer, right? And if we feel that there is still more information needed to actually answer the question that you have, we will answer the questions ourselves, so that at any given point, you can always raise the doubts that you might have. You can always get answers to the questions that you might have. Now, I think this should have given you a rough idea about how Startup with UpGrad looks like, how the online platform looks like. Over and above this, obviously there are the Hangouts, there are the mentoring sessions, there are the offline events, there are the opportunities to do case studies, right? So this was just a small snapshot of how you will actually go through the program and how the program will look like, but I think it should have given you a rough idea about the flow of the platform, the flow of the content. Now, okay. So now let me go back to this Google Hangout and stop the screen share. So now, hey, now I'm back. So I think now let me answer some questions that you guys have raised throughout the last couple of minutes, right? I think Shivam, you had asked, okay, what are the offline approaches on the program other than online learning? I think that's a great question, right? While we obviously at UpGrad believe that online learning is as good or even better than the offline experience, we do feel that networking in an offline environment is of crucial importance, right? So what we have actually implemented in the Startup with UpGrad program is the opportunity for you to network with your fellow students, right? In offline meetups that are facilitated by us, right? We also organize some networking sessions across the key metros, right? Where you get a chance to interact with some of the leading industry professionals, with some of the entrepreneurs, right? To ask your questions, to solve doubts that you may have, right? So this is something that we are doing in an offline environment, networking sessions, right? And at the end of the program, obviously, the jury day, the demo day, right? If you are qualified to the finals, right, then obviously this is also something that you will be experiencing in an offline environment. I hope that answers your question. If not, just drop me a note again, Shivam. Secondly, Manuj, I think Manuj has asked, typically, how do groups work across time zones? I think that is a great question, right? Because while obviously right now, we have approximately, for the first batch, we had approximately 60% individuals from India, right? But the other individuals coming from multiple geographies, right? And I think what we believe in is that groups, right, should be working as independent as possible, right? Because in a real environment, right, in a real startup, right, in the company that you'll be founding, you will have to work with your groups in the most independent manner, right? So we leave it to you how to structure the group work, right? You get the assignment, right, at the beginning of the week, right? And then you have usually 3 weeks until to actually submit any group assignments, right? And in these 3 weeks, right, we ask you to organize yourselves. What we do is we facilitate your communication through giving each other's email addresses and phone numbers, right? So if you're in a group of 5, we will let you know who are your other fellow group members, right? And encourage you to connect with them to actually structure your thoughts in your learning group. Because this is what you will be facing in your own startup. You will have to work with multinational teams. You will have to work with teams from all over India, right? And we wanted to give you the same chance. So I think then, let me see. The third question that I have seen is our idea safe when disclosed while learning? Yeah, I mean, this is, I think, a very, very great question, right? Is our idea safe? And what I can tell you, right? And I think I've heard about thousands of ideas in my life so far. Before I did UpGrad, I was working in venture capital funds, and always the question came up, can I actually share my idea? Can I actually exchange my idea with others, right? And I tell you, yes, you can. You can change your idea. You should actually go out, tell your idea to everyone that is around you, right? Because what I can promise you is that running a startup and going your own entrepreneurial journey is not about the idea. Ideas is really a dime a dozen, right? There are millions of great ideas, and I can tell you, if you have this idea already, at least 40,000 other people in India might have had the same idea and have felt the same need in the market. So startups and entrepreneurship is really not about having this great idea. It's only the smallest part of the entire journey. Running a startup, starting a startup is all about execution, right? So you should not be scared of sharing your idea. You should actually tell it to anyone that you know. You should get feedback, because only then you will be able to learn. Only then you will get the opportunity to get real feedback from any individual, right? So yes, I think you should share your idea. You should share idea with anyone, right? That is something that I can really only encourage you. And that is an integral part of the program, right? Getting feedback on your idea, making sure that you refine your idea. And I can tell you that no one will copy your idea, because everyone is working on his or own venture, or everyone is working in a job right now, right? So the chances that they have the expertise and the capabilities to actually start your idea is close to zero. So you should not be afraid of sharing your idea. And then I think question 4 that I got right now is there the ability to network across cohorts? And yeah, I think that's a great question. What we do have at UpGrad, we do have alumni events, and that is one of the what we believe is extremely important, right? Because after coming out of the program, right, after coming out of the demo day, you still should get the chance to participate in Hangouts, in networking sessions, right? So that's why we feel that an alumni network is of crucial importance for you, because it will help you to actually further scale your businesses, right? Even after receiving the first round of funding or even starting a business, you will have phases in your entrepreneurial journey where you will need a strong network that supports you. And that's why the alumni network at UpGrad is extremely important. So you will get the chance to network with fellow Startup with UpGrad students, right, who have been in other cohorts, right, who have been in the November cohorts. You will get the chance to learn from them about the mistakes and failure they went through, about any issues that they might have been facing, right? So I think, yes, that is something that is extremely important for us, to make sure that you can network with any UpGrad student who has ever gone through this kind of program. Now, the first question that I get here is, will we connect, meet up with UpGrad faculties and other team members within the course at UpGrad premises? Yes, I think what we are doing mentoring sessions, we are doing offline events and small meetings, right? We are hosting them usually in Bombay. We usually host them in our office, right? In other localities, right? We are usually working with co-working spaces like 91 Springboards, right? Where you can actually then meet up and have these offline sessions, and you will get the chance to interact with the UpGrad team, right? And certain UpGrad faculty members, right? Anyways, in the live lectures on the weekends, right, you will get the chance to connect with anyone, right? With anyone that you have been learning from throughout the 15 week. You will get the chance to raise your doubts. You will get the chance to answer your doubts and interact with them. So I think, yes, you will get the chance to be exposed to them. Then another question, how much help do you provide in developing the business plan, preparing the investors' pitches? So I think that is a great question, right? What we do at UpGrad, and I think I talked about it briefly earlier, but let me maybe take a step back because it's such an integral and important part of the program. We provide you with what is called the business plan tracker, right? Throughout the entire 15 week of the program, you actually get the chance to step by step work on your business plan, right? So the feedback that you are giving us on your idea, you will actually have to add up on this, right? For example, the first module is all about idea validation. So we asked you, okay, what is your idea? What is your idea differentiation from other startups? How do you actually monetize your business, right? And this input will then be taken into the business plan tracker, and we will give you feedback on all these thoughts that you have for this business plan tracker, right? Whether you should think deeper about the idea, whether you should look at other businesses. While we will obviously not be the ones who are telling you that this is the idea that you should pursue and this is how you should go about it, we will actually challenge you and make sure that you can actually refine your idea and make sure that your idea is, after the program, a much more clear idea in your head, right? And not just a thought, right? So I think the program will give you the clarity for your pitch deck, right? And after the 15 week, you have that business plan tracker with you, right? Which should give you all the answers. If you have thought really hardly, right, it should give the answers that you needed for your entrepreneurial journey. This is then the starting point for your pitch deck for any investor, venture capital fund, but also for other stakeholders that you might be approaching throughout your journey. So the last question 7, what are the certifications delivered with the program? The certification delivered with the program is an UpGrad certification that you have gone through the Startup with UpGrad program, right? I think that is a very straightforward answer. You will get a certificate at the end of the program if you have completed the program. And if you have finished the program, you will get an UpGrad certificate at the end of the program. Question 8. Is it necessary to narrow down on a particular idea before joining the course so as to maximize the learning? Or will you help us out in scanning the market and identifying the potential idea? I think, again, that's a great question, right? What we believe in UpGrad is that you do not necessarily need to have this specific idea in your mind, right? Because there are so many other influences that are still unclear when you have your idea in your mind, right? But what you should have is you should have a strong passion for a certain industry in your head, right? I think that will significantly help you in identifying the right idea, because if you do not have a passion for a certain industry, or if you don't show any interest in any industry, then it will be actually very hard for you to identify the gap in this specific industry. So you should have some clarity, right, on what is the industry that I like? What is the industry where I feel that there's a significant demand for new innovative business models, right? And then the program will actually help you to learn the concepts, to actually validate the idea that you might have in your head, right? How do I actually make sure that the idea that I have in my head is a scalable one, is the one that has a specific market potential, is the one that is technically feasible, right? So I think this is something that the program will provide you with, right? We will not tell you this is the idea that you should follow. We will not tell you you should open this kind of business and this will be the multi-billion-dollar business. We will give you the concepts to actually vet all these ideas that you might have in your head, right? To actually identify the one that is the one to pursue. The next question, is it an entrepreneurial degree, and what are the applications after the program? Is it an entrepreneurial degree, and what are its applications after the program? So I think the ideal scenario after the program, to be very honest, is you start your own venture, you get out in the market, and you raise funds, right? So that is the ideal scenario. So you're not necessarily become an employee of a company, right? But rather start your own venture, right? Start your own company and become a successful entrepreneur yourself, right? You have the clarity to start this business, right? Having said that, obviously, as UpGrad, as the online education company, we are now in the process to working closely with the industry to identify recruitment opportunities and placements for our students. While this is not something that is part of the Startup with UpGrad program, it is part of other UpGrad programs. And industry experts, right, and the founders of all of these companies, right, have interacted with UpGrad and know the quality of the UpGrad program that is being provided, right? So I think that is somehow how the market is recognizing that you have gone through this specific program, right? Having said that, ideally this program obviously leads to a strong funding, right? And obviously leads to you starting your own venture, but it will help you a lot also in other jobs, right? Whether you want to become in the long term maybe work in a venture capital fund, whether you want to work in a startup, right? The program will give you the vocabulary that you will need in any of these industries, right? It will give you the clarity, and it will give you the ability to talk with anyone who is working in such an environment, right? Because you will know what is important in a startup, right? Both from a venture capital perspective as well as from a startup perspective itself. Question 10, will we get a chance to see how a startup works, like the activities, daily tools used? Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think what we have tried to do in this program through actually getting all of these founders into the program, right, and making them talk about their startups, right, is to make it as practicable as possible, right, to make it as focused on the Indian ecosystem as possible, right, and not only a program that gives you concepts, right. You will actually learn very tactical things like how do I register my company, how does a startup use digital marketing. For example, in the digital marketing module, right, we talked with the founder of Zivame, right, Vichaka, right. Zivame is now one of the, it's actually the largest laundry online shop in India, right? And she talks about how she uses digital marketing for her own venture, right? What are the metrics that are actually extremely important for her? How does her team leverage digital marketing opportunities? So I think you will get exposed to how startups actually work. What are the tools that they use, right? What we have at the end of the program is actually, at the end of each module, right, we have an additional reading section, right? An additional good to know section, right? And in this additional good to know section, we are giving you the top tools that are used for a specific task and the top websites that you should visit. For example, we tell you what are the top digital marketing tracking tools, what are the top analytics tools that you should be using for your own venture, what are the tools that you can use in order to build your first app, to build your first design dummy in your app, right? What are the tools that you can use to actually hire the right talent, right? So I think, yes, the program provides you with inputs on actual how startups are won on a daily basis. So now I think these were the questions that I received so far, and if you guys have any other questions that pop into your mind of whatever nature, please just drop me a note. You can always reach out to our email startup@upgrad.com, right? Where we will answer any questions that you might have on that program, right? So please do reach out if you have any questions. If you have any questions right now, please do not hesitate to post them right now. I'll be here another 2-3 minutes, right? Otherwise, I use this time now to actually thank you guys for joining, right? I hope that has gives you some more clarity on what this program is about, right? We have created something which should give you the clarity, right? Which should expose you to the entrepreneurial ecosystem. And I think that program will give you the chance to build a strong network. It will give you the chance to go out and actually start your own venture, right? So we would be excited to see your application, right? And if you have any questions in the meantime, just drop us a note at startup@upgrad.com, visit our website, and we're always there to help you with whatever question that you might have. Otherwise, now, I think I haven't seen any other question coming right now. I would thank you for your attention tonight, and I hope that gave you the clarity, and I wish you a great Sunday. And we'll see you again in a couple of days. We have these webinars now every now and then, so you can always raise questions, and hope to see you soon, either live or in an online environment. And until then, take care, bye-bye.